Welcome on in, everybody, here to iDashGaming, and today is a big day. Today, the scouting update for Madden NFL 22 has officially dropped, meaning it is time for us to start our first official franchise series of Madden NFL 22. So I had some different teams I was considering. I had some criteria for what teams I wanted to use. I'll go through those real quick. Number one, I wanted a team that did not go to the playoffs last year. So I didn't want, like the Chiefs or the Bucks or the Packers or anyone like that. Secondly, I wanted them to have a question mark at quarterback. So they might have, say, a quarterback of right now, but not necessarily a quarterback of the future, so to say. So we aren't going to be using guys like Trevor Lawrence with the Jaguars or Justin Fields with the Bears. So those teams got eliminated. I wanted a team that was in a pretty decent division, so I didn't want like the NFC East, or the AFC South, some pretty weak divisions. And then also I wanted a team that had holes that needed to be filled. So I didn't want a team that, was just like maybe one piece or a quarterback away, like the Colts or the Vikings, who, have a really good surrounding cast, but are just missing that elite quarterback. And so eventually that led me to four teams. And I put a poll up on my Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, iDashBrandon, you can follow me over there. The poll ended up choosing who we would use. And I have to say, this is the team that I always thought about using. And I'm happy that we ended up with this team. The team that we will be using for our franchise series in Madden NFL 22 is the Denver Broncos. And you'll notice we're not taking over as a player. We're not taking over as a coach. We are taking over as the owner of the Denver Broncos. iDashGaming has officially purchased the Denver Broncos football franchise. And so you may ask, well, why do you want to use owner instead of as the coach? Well, a few reasons. One, I can hire and fire a head coach that way. Second, firing of coaches is bugged in this game, where even if you turn coach firing off, you can still get fired. So I don't want that to happen in this series. We'll do another series later where we create a coach and he starts off as an offensive coordinator and eventually works his way up through different jobs to becoming a head coach. And it's more so about following the career of the head coach than it is about following the rebuild of one single team. But this is about rebuilding one single team. So the best way to do that is as the owner. And also, the Broncos are in a bit of an ownership crisis right now. After the death of Pat Bowlen a few years back, they're currently in a bit of a struggle. His kids and descendants are fighting currently over who should end up owning the Denver Broncos. And iDashGaming, we decided to step in and settle it for them. We just bought it out from under them. So I'm very excited for this. I'm excited for this series. I like the Broncos. I'm a Colts fan, so once Peyton Manning left the Colts and went over to the Broncos, I was, for a few years, basically, I guess you could call me a surrogate Broncos fan for a few years. So I know a lot of the players on this team that are leftovers from that Super Bowl 50 championship team. I spent a lot of time rooting for the Broncos when Peyton was there, and even after he left, guys like Trevor Siemian and Drew Lock, I wanted to see them succeed. They didn't quite work out that well. And the Broncos got off to a hot start this season. I think they started like 3-0 or 4-0 on the season, but they've dropped their last few. So we're going to see what we can do with this team. Let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see, we'll be starting in the preseason. I do want to show you the league settings going into this. So we'll be playing on All-Pro Simulation. If we feel like this needs to be changed, eventually we will. But this is what I want to start on. All-Pro feels difficult enough for me where it's still fair. All Madden just feels like it always cheats. And then simulation, we'll start with simulation. If I get too annoyed with it, we'll switch to competitive. But for right now, we'll keep it on simulation. We have our pre-order bonus on, so that I think that'll give me like 60 staff points to start off with. Coach firing CPU only doesn't matter because we're an owner. Salary cap, superstar abilities are on. We are going to turn off pre-existing injuries because there are some Broncos players right now that are hurt, like Bradley Chubb, that I want to actually be able to play with. So we're going to leave pre-existing injuries off, but once we get into the franchise, injuries will be turned on. And then progressive fatigue, practice injuries, and prospect storylines, which is a new feature with this scouting update that came in today. Those will all be turned on. Breakout scenarios, development trait regression, all on. 10-minute quarters, 20-minute play clock, and then everything here set to manual, tutorials, auto progress, and auto progress talents turned off. those are all of the settings for this franchise. As you can see here, we do have 60 staff points to start off with. The first thing I'm going to do with these is buy these that make the coordinators cheaper. So there goes 40 of ours right there. But both of our guys have quite a few abilities already. And so I'm actually just going to go in here to player personnel, and I'm going to start working on this one because this trade one here is super good, especially for getting draft picks, which we're going to need a lot of in this series, I feel. But let's meet the team. We have Teddy Bridgewater. Started off the season as a 70 overall. Over the course of the season, through some updates, he's gone up to a 79 overall. 28 years old, 7th-year quarterback out of Louisville. 86 throw power, 83 deep accuracy, 83 medium accuracy, 90 short accuracy. That's really good. 85 throw on the run, 86 throw under pressure, 88 break sack, 82 speed, 86 acceleration, 85 agility. So he's got some wheels. He can move. He's not just a pocket passer. 94 toughness. But he is on a one-year contract, so he is only here for this year, guaranteed. Do we bring him back? That will all depend on how he performs this year. Backing up Bridgewater, we do have Drew Lock, who was a top pick by the Broncos a few years ago out of Missouri, the second-year player. Has 89 throw power, not very good accuracy, 83 speed, 86 acceleration. Just hasn't really performed yet. His rookie year, he threw for about 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Then last year, 2,900 yards, 16 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. But he has 2 years remaining on his contract, so he will definitely be here next year unless we end up trading him, which is a possibility. But for right now, we'll definitely look to keep him as our backup quarterback moving forward. At the running back position, we do have Melvin Gordon, who most of you know him from the Chargers, 28 years old. Has 91 speed, 90 acceleration, 90 agility, 88 carrying, 90 juke move, 70 catching, and 85 break tackle. He's an older player, just came over to the Broncos this year, and he's on a one-year deal, so he'll be a free agent after this season, which I am okay with. And actually, I will probably look to trade Melvin Gordon because the guy that we have behind him, Javonte Williams, the rookie out of North Carolina, is one of my favorite players in this entire game. 88 break tackle, 87 speed, so he's a little bit slower. But man, he can break tackles like nobody's business. I think he currently leads the NFL in broken tackles. But he was a top pick for them this year, and most likely he's going to get a lot of touches for us this season. At the receiver position, we have Cortland Sutton. We have Jerry Jeudy. Second-year player out of Alabama. He's only 22 years old. He's got pretty good speed, decent route running. Only 78 catching. That definitely needs to go up if he wants to stay on this team going forward. But I like Jerry Jeudy. I like Cortland Sutton. I do think we need that top-tier receiver that sort of goes beyond where these two guys are at right now. I think Jeudy could develop into that, but I'm not certain of it. So we'll have to see about that going forward. Offensive line, left tackle, we have Garrett Bowles, 4th-year player out of Utah. I'm okay. 84 overall, that's not bad at all. Risner, 79 overall left guard. I'm okay with that. Cushenberry, he's a 2nd-year player out of LSU. He's only 23 years old. He has star development. So we'll start him at center this season. But we do have a guy that we drafted. He's a rookie, 22 years old. I'm curious what happens if I move him to right guard. He goes to 65. Okay. So we'll move him back to right guard. So he'll be a backup this year until we see that dev trait. Most likely it'll just be star, in which case, we have guys that are way ahead of him on the depth chart. So I don't really see him jumping over guys unless an injury occurs. At tight end, we have Noah Fant, who is a very good tight end. I really like him. I think he's like 23 years old, actually. 89 speed, 91 catching, 91 acceleration. He's 6'4", 249 pounds. I really like him. I think he's a really good player. But this Broncos team isn't really known for its offense. It is known for this defense with several leftover pieces from their Super Bowl 50 run, starting, of course, with Von Miller, a future Hall of Fame player, 32 years old out of Texas A&M. And he is definitely aging. But, you look at the sack numbers, man. He just is a beast defensively. And he's on the final year of his deal. We'll have to re-sign him if we want to bring him back, which I do. I want to bring Von Miller back. I want him to retire a Bronco. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Has been for a very long time. But we definitely want to bring Von Miller back and bring him back alongside Bradley Chubb, who hasn't performed great yet. 25 years old out of NC State. His rookie year, he had 12 sacks. 2019, he was injured for a lot of the year, only had 1 sack. Last year, he had 7. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. He has 2 years remaining on his deal. The place where this defense really shines, though, is the no-fly zone. They have recreated the no-fly zone from that Super Bowl 50 run with Bryce Callahan, Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, and Patrick Surtain Jr., who we're actually going to bump up to the 3. And he is a wonderful young corner out of Alabama, 6'2", 202 pounds, 21 years old, 91 speed, 77 man coverage, 75 zone coverage. That can go up easily throughout this. But I see Patrick Surtain as being one of our best players moving forward. We also have 2 of the best safeties in the league in Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. The place where we really need to improve this defense is in the middle. So we have our D-ends and D-tackles. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not great either. They can definitely improve. And then also at the middle linebacker position, I feel like we can improve. I mean, Johnson here, Alexander Johnson, 29 years old out of Tennessee, 82 overall, playing up to an 82 overall, star development. Not terrible, but he is getting older, and I feel like we can find someone younger and with a higher upside than him moving forward. So the middle of that defense definitely needs to improve. And then on offense, receiver and offensive line is where we're really looking at. And also trying to determine if Teddy Bridgewater is the future at that position or if he's just maybe a stopover. At the specialist, we will have Patrick playing as our slot receiver. I want Patrick Surtain playing slot corner. We'll have Von Miller rushing off the left side, Harrison Jones in the middle with Chubb coming off the right side, Alexander Johnson as the sub linebacker. And then I really want Williams being our power back. Melvin Gordon be our third down back. But here's something new with this scouting update: hire and assign scouts. So we are going to do that. So as you can see, prospects, region breakdown, and mock drafts are all locked here in preseason 1. But something we can do is go ahead and hire our scouts. So the question is, what positions do we need to scout? We need to scout middle of the defense, offensive line, and quarterback, basically. So we're going to go through and fire all these guys. It doesn't matter because there's no money tied to them. So you can just hire and fire them as much as you want, which I really like. I think that gives you a lot more freedom. And so with this new scouting system, there's tier 3, tier 2, and tier 1 scouts. You can have 1 tier 3, 1 tier 2, and then you have 3 tier 1 scouts. So I am going to pick Alan Faneca to be our national scout. He will be our tier 3 scout. He has position expertise at the guard position, and that seems like a position that we definitely need moving forward. You'll also notice that there are some former players in here as scouts. So TJ Husmanjada, former wide receiver in the league. As you can see, he is a wide receiver scout. There's quite a few of those in here, like Reggie Wayne's in here. Tiki and Rondé Barber, I think, are both in here. Yeah, so here are the Tiki and Rondé Barber are both in here. Aqib Talib is here, the former Broncos. So we're actually going to bring him in. Only right that we bring in Aqib Talib to be one of our scouts. I also want a wide receiver scout. I need a middle linebacker. So the last scout that I need is a quarterback scout. So is there a tier 1 QB scout down here? I don't think there is, actually. There's no tier 1 quarterback scouts, huh? There's just Tyler Carpenter, the tier 2, and then Kenny Ramsey, the tier 3. That's interesting. So we might have to get rid of Aqib Talib as our corner. I like Aqib Talib, though. Let's get rid of Faneca. No, because there's so many there. But offensive linemen in Madden don't, especially from auto-generated draft classes, are usually not very good. So I don't want to waste a full year of scouting on guys that aren't going to turn out to be good. So let's go ahead and fire him. We'll hire Kenny Ramsey as our national scout / QB scout, and then we'll go down here to tier 1s and get a left guard, right guard guy. So that's all we can do here in week 1 scouting wise, week 1 of the preseason, that is. I'm going to move on to this next week. So we do have an injury to Tim Patrick here during the preseason. He's going to be out 7 weeks. Oh my gosh. So I'm not getting any offers for Melvin Gordon, so I'm going to go in here during the preseason and try to build my own trade for him. He's got a $9 million cap hit. I want to get either a top wide receiver or like a decent pick. Is there anybody that has green interest and it doesn't look like it? I'm not sure if this will work or not. I'm going to try to offer Melvin Gordon to the Vikings for Justin Jefferson, a very young, really good wide receiver. It's almost there. He's that top tier wide receiver that we need. So it's close. It is very, very close. Do we give up the second round pick to get Justin Jefferson? I think we do. I think we go ahead and give up that second round pick. Because who are we going to get in the second round that's going to be as good as Justin Jefferson? Nobody. That's it. Done deal. Send it to the league office. Make it official. We need Justin Jefferson, and we got him. So we have Justin Jefferson and Jerry Jeudy as our top 2 receivers with Courtland Sutton at number 3, and then Jeudy will be playing the slot for us. And that trade for Melvin Gordon allows Javonte Williams to move up into the starting running back position going into the regular season here. So we are going to be using an auto-generated draft class here. So here we are in week 1, and we're going to be facing the New York Giants in New York. Saquon Barkley is their top threat, of course. But we have quite a bit to do to get ready here for week 1, weekly strategy. Our main threat is going to be defending the inside run against Saquon Barkley. And I'm looking at this defense. Outside of our corners, I want to split reps with everyone here because everyone here is fairly old, and I don't want anyone getting hurt. We'll go full pads. Offensively, our game plan is going to be against the Giants. I would say run it inside. And then I am going to do starters basically across the board here for week 1. I want this XP gain. So we have Patrick Surtain, Javonte Williams, and then who else should be our other focus player? We have Justin Jefferson, Courtland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. We have Noah Fant. Have a couple of star players along the offensive line. I think we're going to go with Cushenberry. He's 23 years old, star dev trait. We want to boost him up a little bit, give him a little extra help to help out that offensive line. Goals for this week, it's going to be throw 2 touchdown Actually, our goal was to run inside, so 200 rushing yards. Don't allow a rushing touchdown. 3 rushing touchdowns. Actually, rush for 150, and then win the turnover battle. So here we are in week 1, as I said earlier, and we're going to look at scouting. This is a key week for scouting with this new update because the prospects become available for us to view. As you can see, we have Greg Black from Georgia, the left tackle, is currently the projected number 1 pick, followed by 2 quarterbacks, Jay Moore from Arkansas and Connor Wilbon from Penn State. So we have Jay Moore here from Arkansas. Has poor to marginal acceleration, not great agility, good change of direction, all right jumping, all right speed, really good strength, and really good throw power. And we currently know he has C, stiff arm, and A, trucking. Meanwhile, Connor Wilbon out of Penn State has basically great or elite across the board. And we know he has A, break sack, and B, carrying. So Connor Wilbon already looking like the top quarterback in this class. So one thing we do need to do is go into the region breakdown and assign our different scouts to their different regions. We're going to set our tier 3 scout as our national scout. The strength of the West is corners, wide receiver, and left tackle. Middle linebacker is in the central. Wide receiver in the southeast. Let me double check that, make sure. Yeah, wide receiver is in the southeast. So let's set our receiver guy to the southeast. And then corners were in the west. Middle linebacker was central, and then that leaves the northeast for our O-line guy. Let me make sure I had that right. Corner out west, middle linebacker in the central, northeast. Actually, that's one of their weaknesses is guard, actually. Actually, guard and center is one of the weaknesses of the class in general. Hopefully, our scout will be able to find somebody out there to scout. We have some staff points. We're going to put those into the player personnel talent tree. Draft every day, part 1, 2% trade discount for CPU draft picks.